first poker tutorial video. This is basically going to be a walkthrough of a recent multi-table tournament I won. It was a $162 buy-in on Party Poker, 214 players, and I actually managed to finish first for a score of about 9,400. I've looked through the hand histories and I've set aside a few of the key hands. It's quite a long video, so I've broken it down into a few parts, basically discussing various aspects of poker, continuation betting, bet sizing, etc. It's aimed at anyone really. Newcomers can probably take a lot from it, intermediate players. Obviously, people may disagree with some of my comments, which is understandable. Poker's all about opinion, everyone plays differently. So, take from the video what you will. Hopefully, I'll be making more in the future. The first key hand of the tournament, the first playable hand I pick up is Ace-Jack offsuit. It's under the gun. Generally, newcomers to the game, I'd suggest laying this hand down, mainly because you're likely to be playing the hand out of position, i.e. you're first to act on the flop, and you're just going to find yourself in tricky situations. You may be asked serious questions if the flop comes ace high. I think newcomers to the game will find it hard to lay this hand down when chances are you are behind. However, when you get slightly more experienced and you can lay these hands down, they become more playable. So I suggest here, well, I opt to raise 3 times the big blind, which is a fairly standard raise. So I make it 120 to go, and we get a caller. So 300 in the pot with 2 to a flop, and I'm first to act. Now the flop's interesting. It brings 2 jacks, which gives me 3 of a kind. Now, generally, the initial raiser before the flop c-bets the flop. They make a continuation bet. You might think the ideal option here would be to check. However, if I check this flop and he bets out and I call, so if I check call the flop, then it really screams that I've got a jack. Whereas if I lead out and he's got ace king, ace queen, a medium pocket pair, you know, he's going to be calling. So I decide to lead out just over half the pot. And at this stage, he can't really put me on a jack. Why would I lead out if I have a jack? Why wouldn't I slow play? So if he has got a medium pair, ace king, ace queen, I can't put him on aces or kings because he would be re-raising from that position before the flop. He's going to be calling, thinking he's got the best hand here. So he does call, and the turn is an 8. It's a blank in terms of I can't put him on 9-10, but that's not to say he's 4 to a straight at this stage. He could have pocket 9s, pocket 10s. However, I decide to do something interesting here. Generally, if you raise before the flop, you do make a continuation bet, and if it is called, you tend to give up on the turn. You'll just check fold. So I decide to show him weakness by checking. So it looks like I've had a stab on the flop. It wasn't successful, so I give him a chance to bet here, and he opts to bet out 200. I expected him to bet, that's not a surprise, but the size of his bet, 1/3 the pot, is questionable. I'm not sure what he's betting with there. I can't really put him on a flush draw with a bet like that. Maybe he's trying to see the river cheaply, but I decide to put him to the test, and I decide to raise here. And I make it 840, which is about the pot. Now, I personally think this raise looks a bit bluffy and looks a bit fishy because I've checked, and I actually took a while to make the decision and put in the raise. And he in fact calls, and the river is a 6 of spades, so it completes the flush draw. However, I can't put him on a flush. Personally, with 2 jacks here, I'd see him raising a flush draw on the flop, and I'm not sure what his fishy 200 bet was on the turn. So at this stage, I'm pretty sure I'm ahead, up against maybe someone that can't lay down ace king, ace queen, maybe a medium pocket pair, 9s, 10s. So I decide to shove here. Well, I lead out for 990. That's supposed to be a shove. Always shove in that spot. That's an excellent shoving spot. If you know you're ahead, you want to get maximum value from the pot. So I decide to shove, and I get the call. And obviously I show, and he shows pocket tens. So we pretty much got maximum value from that hand. By leading out on the flop, it really did get us maximum value. I mean, if we check call, then it screams a jack. He's going to play it cautious from there on in. But the fact we led out, why would we lead out with a jack? So he personally would probably be putting us on ace king, ace queen. So he in fact thought his tens were good there. On to the second major hand early on in this tournament. We're playing about 6k, which is well over 100 big blinds. It's more like 150. People get too concerned with their chip stack in relation to everyone else's at the table. However, at this stage in the tournament, you know, you don't really need to be concerned about that. Not really until you get real deep. I mean, I tend to just worry about how many big blinds I'm playing. So we've got plenty, and obviously ace queen is a great hand early on in a tournament. So it's folded round. I make it 3 times the big blind, and we get an all-in shove from the button. And the way this guy's been playing, obviously we were involved with him in the first hand. I'm going to be calling here. There was a few hands I didn't show, which maybe I should have. I might put them in after. But obviously we're calling here. And he shows ace jack. The queen on the flop pretty much kills the hand. And we take that one down. So that's a nice little pickup to add to our stack early on. Another hand and another big ace, this time ace king offsuit. Obviously we're going to raise it up under the gun, so I make it 3 times the big blind to go. So 120 to go. And we instantly get a caller. Now it's important to note that Pam is playing 1200, so the likelihood is if she really wants to get busy in this flop, then she's going to be playing for a tournament life. It's folded round to the big blind, who folds. So 2 to a flop. We're first to act 300 in the pot. The king on the flop. Now we could check here and hope that Pam gets jiggy and tries to bet out, but I opt to bet out for similar reasons to the first hand. You know, you're always going to see bet after you've raised, and check in just looks a bit fishy, so we want to lead out here, and we get a call. She could be calling with anything there. She could have queens, jacks, even tens or nines. Now that card's an interesting one. It puts a flush draw out there, it puts a potential straight draw out there, a potential straight, but we're obviously going to lead out again, this time for 240. That's about half the pot. I suggest betting more. I'm not sure why I didn't. And then Pam has a think and decides to shove all in. I think in this spot it's an easy call. She could have a suited ace on a flush draw, a number of hands here. So I think it's an easy call in this spot. Top pair, top kicker. She's in a position where she does need to move her chips about and try and pick up some chips, but I'm not sure what she's doing it with there. She actually shows 6-6. So we've actually got a draw into 6 outs, any 6, any 5 for a straight. So we're in a good spot here to pick up a 3k pot and move on with the tournament. And the river brings a 5, so it completes Pam's straight. That's probably what you call a bad beat. We got it in with the best hand there. We came out with the worst of it. But I wouldn't question, I think we played that hand perfectly. I mean, we've got someone to chuck all their chips in on a turn.